Today on the Topping Show, John Deere DEI leak may lead to a boycott. A British TV anchor goes viral for her story on migrant crime and sexual harassment. Biden says that he will veto any bill that prevents non-citizens from voting. California has a bill to make it a felony to purchase children for sex, but faces opposition from the LGBT community. Peter Doocy asked the White House press secretary if they would wake Biden if news of an approaching nuke came after his bedtime. Barron Trump makes waves at his dad's rally. Porsche to kill the iconic Cayman. Ammunition vending machines hitting grocery stores. Dyson vacuum is laying off 1,000 employees in Britain. And the Ford Mustang is being recalled due to unintentional steering. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. I say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, for the entire month of July, we're giving away a free 50 caliber musket or flintlock pistol with every IT purchase. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn more. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Porsche to kill the iconic 718 Cayman for an EV, as governments continue to kill all of our fun for the attack on the ICE engine. This is heartbreaking for many reasons, including one, well, biased. I would love to have a Porsche one of these days, and granted, in terms of an affordable sports car, it's still stretching. It's expensive. They did increase their prices, but the Cayman started around, $90,000, which again is a lot of money, but for the value, it's a great value. I would argue, especially when you look at the 911, and those start, I think, 150 plus these days. And so it's a great quote unquote entry level Porsche you can get relative to the other portfolio products. And granted, it's a great mid-engine vehicle. It's a great track toy, some might say. And one of the most magical experiences I've ever had was when my friends actually bought me one of those track experiences where I got to drive the Porsche Cayman GT3 RS or GT4 RS, I forget. It was ridiculously fun. It was awesome to say the least. And unfortunately, now it's, spoiler alert, being killed next year. They say, part of customers' preferences are shifting to EVs, which, what would the Germans say? I'm not sure any funny German words to describe this perverse thing that's happening. Ridiculous. But look at where the customers are buying on average. They're looking for, hybrids. Again, it's average. Sports cars, no, absolutely not. But nevertheless, we'll go to the actual article with car and driver. This is from Jack Fitzgerald. He says, quote, Porsche will kill off the combustion 718 next year. And there's one of the nice pictures of the nice Porsche. And again, I'm a little bit of I love fun, unique car colors. You see this one's a little mix between pink and, pink and red right there. And it's a maroon. And you got the fancy European license plate there. And yes, I have wasted probably hours of my life on the Porsche configurator looking at the different colors of green for the 911 that you can get. Spoiler alert, there's like 30 plus, but nevertheless, that is, it's heartbreaking. They say Porsche confirmed the production of the internal combustion engine 718 Cayman and 718 Boxster will end in 2025. The unfortunate news was delivered by Porsche production manager Albrecht Renault in an interview with Automobilucci. It's in German. I can't pronounce it to save my life. They say that, quote, the beloved models will be killed off to open up room in Porsche's lineup for the introduction of the 2025 718 Cayman EV, which would be great for all 18 people who want it. Ridiculous. Again, if you want to make a new EV, again, make a new model that's an EV, sure. But the people who want this car are track enthusiasts. They have the highest take rates when it comes to manual transmissions. People want a fun toy that is actually moderately durable. An EV is trash, especially if you go to the track. Spoiler alert, there's not a lot of charging stations, partially because how inefficient they are with the current technology to charge the vehicle. Also, most of them do not have the liability insurance and fire suppression technology actually handle those types of fires that can result from lithium-ion battery fires. So, yes, this is, God, terrible news. Now they say, quote, the fully electric 718s are rumored to be both available in a hardtop and convertible. Oh, geez Louise. Keeping in line gas-powered models. Oh my gosh. This Porsche executive, Remold, said he has driven the all-electric replacement and promised fans the fun of driving the 718 isn't going anywhere. If you're experienced in the 1,073 horsepower 718 Cayman GT4 E-Performance sports car is anything, God. Apples to bastardize oranges, or perhaps a more apt metaphor would be what Germans eat. Beer? Oh, they drink beer? Famous. And bratwurst. A bratwurst compared to a veggie bratwurst perhaps might be the most apt metaphor for this particular situation. Oh, there's a couple of pictures. See, there's an iconic nice Cayman there. Which again, it was a great way to get it into the Porsche brand. Nice engine placement. Then you see one of the EV models, which I like the color green, so I like that, the green color of the paint. But yeah, an EV Cayman. God, that's just terrible, to say the least. And there's a lot of rumors that this was happening because again, they did have a lot of the spy pictures of the electric Cayman. What was it, about 6 to 8 months ago? So a lot of speculators speculating maybe they're gonna kill it altogether, or maybe they'll replace it. Maybe they'll have a side by side, so you can give the customer an actual choice instead of just being forced to buy it. But no, it's not too surprising. They say, while the news comes as a gut punch to Porsche fans in the US, we actually get more time to process the change than our European counterparts, filing a host of cybersecurity regulations that went into place in the European Union earlier this year. Porsche killed the combustion 718 platform along with a gas-powered migrant SUV. According to Ramal, the limited availability of parts for the gasoline versions, along with the desire to move forward, contributing to the internal combustion Macan's limited lifespan. It's also a good reason to look into the actual bills. It says that cybersecurity regulations in Europe is one of the reasons they are killing us. Partially because the government likes to control everything. And guess what's easy to shut off remotely? Yep, EVs. They're also easy to hack because, spoiler alert, it's a computer on wheels. And yep, we also have increased, fuel economy, all that kind of stuff, all the emissions in the U.S. as well as Europe with the European Union. And it looks like the only thing Porsche will make that's fun these days will be the 911, which they already have a hybrid version of that. Yeah. But that also starts at thousands more. I mean, let's go look at that portfolio really quick. So again, this looks like the Boxster used to start at 81,000, which again they did raise the prices. I know this only because I would dream a lot and look at the the website throughout the years. Granted, I still love my little Honda Civic Si, but I hope to eventually get a little fun, something a little bit more power, so to say. Let's say these start around 86,900 for the rag top, and of course, oh yeah, it was the 718 Cayman GT4 RS. That was the one I drove at the track. Granted, it was a couple laps, but it was one of the most fantastical fun experience I ever had. It was automatic, yes, that's the track, but still, I mean, that thing turned on a dime, and it's impossible to drive that thing and not smile ear to ear. Now, that one does start at $164,200 if you can actually find it, and the dealership won't mark it up. And of course, you have to pay the registration fee, or the extortion fee to the government. But it's so sad to see such an iconic vehicle biting the dust. And again, the average consumer, I don't know who the hell is going to buy an electric Porsche Cayman. Again, all 18 prospective customers will love it. Again, these are track toys. You want to be able to just refuel in seconds at the pump, not wait hours to be recharged and properly. And overheating issues, it's one of I haven't been at a loss of words for quite some time. It's obviously I'm quite distraught from the segment of the show. Because again, I really aspire to get one of these days. And now, if you want to get a new Porsche that's actually fun to drive, you have to save up for the 911, which again, that's, let me pull this up really quick. Now I'm curious. The Porsche USA website. Porsche USA configurator. Which again, the 911 is an awesome vehicle, but they're so much more expensive than the Cayman. And also, you could argue the engine placement being a little bit more advantageous for, fun at the track. it looks like the 911 starts at $120,100. Again, that's before extortion fees to the government, aka registration fees, dealership markups, and that's for the base model Porsche 911 Carrera. Which, again, obviously the price goes up from there as you add on different options and different power packages. I mean, the 911 Turbo starts at $197,200, which, geez Louise, that's a big amount of capital spent on a vehicle, which can't. I mean, someday I aspire to have that, but geez Louise, that's a pretty penny, or I was about to say pretty German money. They didn't have that because they acquiesced and joined the European Union. But nevertheless, very sad. Hope I don't know what the odds are that customers or voters will be able to tell the governments to. I was about to say, just tell them to piss off and just let people actually drive what they want to drive and not be micromanaged to the point of non-existence in this case. But let me know, are you surprised by this? And do you think commercially it will be successful? There are a couple of companies that make, I almost threw up in my mouth, performance EVs. But again, if you want a track experience, it might come with new battery technology. Again, there's always that caveat with tech because new things could come right around the corner. Who knows? But with all the current infrastructure, all the current technology we have at the current moment, it's not feasible for a track toy. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, ammunition vending machines are trending across the US. Now, this is an interesting idea. We've seen this concept has been around for quite some time. It's one of those instances where, I mean, if you go to a private range, a lot of them will have the machines, but the twist on this is they're actually being put in grocery stores, which, again, for grocery stores is brilliant. They need the additional revenue. The average gross profit for a grocery store is around 2%, which is why if a Marxist tells you the grocery stores are evil, they're marking up the price of food, and that's why they're the bad guy. No, it's our inept government on the left and the right causing ridiculous inflation of regulation. Again, just go to Google, go to Brave, search average grocery store margin. It's around 2%. So again, that's why they need something like this to also help supplement their income. That's why a lot of grocery stores like Walmart and Target have electronics and clothing. But nevertheless, getting back to this particular instance, you actually see a gentleman at a store and he's going to be able to buy some ammunition from a good old vending machine. And I was going to say, the only thing I don't like about this, which I understand the liability, because the big thing is this is in a grocery store that anyone can go to. Traditionally, many of the vending machines that happen to have ammo, I think that's a better, more accurate way to represent the previous technology in the consumer interface. It was already in a gun store, which again, depending on where it is in the store, usually you have to be at least 18 to be in there, or you're accompanied by an adult or guardian. Now, in this case, anyone can be in a grocery store. So in order to mitigate their risk, they, for better or worse, for privacy, I would say worse, they employ technologies like facial recognition and AI facial recognition specifically to help ensure you're above 18 to purchase the ammunition, which, again, for privacy, that's terrible. But go to the actual article, written by Paul Frill at dailymail.com. It says, quote, gun owners will be able to buy bullets 24/7 from vending machines that are as easy to use as an ATM installed in grocery stores across 3 states. The machines are currently operating in the good old states, I might argue the best, a little bit biased, of Texas, or some might pronounce it Texas, also Alabama and Oklahoma. Now it looks like, going here really quick, company appropriately named American Rounds says that the machines are similar to traditional vending machines, but use sophisticated AI facial recognition software to ensure the purchases is legal, which is funny in terms of like this company says it's a bad thing. There's no limitations on the amount of ammunition the buyer can purchase, which, oh, I'm sorry, I thought this was America. There shouldn't be any limits on that, obviously. Granted, if you want the best price per round, you're always going to buy online. Vending machines, by their very existence, are a thing of obvious convenience, and you're going to pay a premium for that. But I usually like when I have my company events where we have we'll have our range days like full auto Fridays or shoot suppress security fears for my tech company. I usually just use e-commerce platform. Well, a little biased. I also had him on the interview podcast, but Southern Defense is a great e-commerce platform. Again, not paid plug, just a fan of what they do. But they give you the great price per round, especially if you just buy like a 1,000-round case, which again, you're never going to beat that price point when it comes to a vending machine. But again, it's going to be a spontaneous purchase. They say that, quote, every piece of software works together to verify the person using the machine matches the identification scan. They also have to include your ID. Can't help but think this Democrats will enrage against this. Actually, no, they'll probably want extra IDs for this. Let's see, that's pretty cool. Like, you have a little tray that folds out, got some nice graphics on it. Now, in terms of mass adaptation, pretty interesting. They say they have over 200 requests for their machines across 9 states, and the demand is growing quickly. They're not surprised. Again, these stores need desperate help. The only way they make a profit is mass volume of units sold when it comes to traditional groceries. And what is that? I got a 9mm pistol in there. I think it's a CZ. 99% sure. That admittedly, that is the brand I know the least about, and they have the least amount of experience interacting with or using with. Let's see here. It'll be interesting to see how much they could really raise and how fast this company grows. Then what's the adoption rate going to be from a consumer perspective? Because a lot of folks that are believe in the Bill of Rights, Constitution, a lot of the Second Amendment community does not like the fact that mass government surveillance, AI, and granted, even though this is a private company, the government's going to be knocking on the door and want every piece of information possible. Hopefully, they don't acquiesce to a simple ask and they actually force the government to actually give the required paperwork in the court order if they actually subpoena to actually get the data. But to me, I could see that being one thing that might hurt the adoption rate in the interaction with the use of these vending machines. But I mean, it's a pretty good idea. I'm impressed to see it going across a mass scale, especially at stores that are not specifically dedicated gun stores. Let me know. Have you seen one of these in your area? Would you be interested in using it? I mean, it's very much a spontaneous purchase. Obviously, checking out for your groceries. You see this at the exit. It's very interesting. And again, being that spontaneous, you can, they usually charge a premium price, very similar to how they have candy bars that they check out for the kids. So, be interesting. Let me know. I'll be fascinated to hear, as always, what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Dyson Vacuum Company laying off 1,000 employees in Britain, which perhaps they can still drink their tea and have a crumpet and funny British third thing. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Reuters. They say, quote, Dyson to axe with around 1,000 jobs in Britain. You can see some of their iconic vacuums, which, I mean, Mr. Dyson was a genius. I think it took him, was it 1,000 prototypes before he actually invented the first bagless vacuum cleaner? Which, granted, what is it? I have a cousin, obviously he's doing well in life, he has a Dyson. I actually used a free Shark, or I repaired it. Yeah, I got for free in college, the Dust Shark, little red stand-up vacuum. But in terms of the technology, it's very impressive to be able to get this to the point where you don't need to have the lifetime buying of these filters. Is ingenious. Now, pulling up the actual article, you can see some of the stand-up vacuums, which I think they're like $400 plus. It is astronomical. Now, they say, quote, vacuum cleaner manufacturer, Dyson will cut about 1,000 jobs in Britain, more than a quarter of its workforce in the country, as part of a global restructuring, which, spoiler alert, yeah, they don't really make anything in Great Britain, partially because, again, government regulation, increased cost of labor, so, spoiler alert, they make most of these outside of that country. They say, quote, the company founded by James Dyson was the inventor of the bagless cleaner, employs 3,500 people in Britain, including its research and development center in Malmesbury, West England. CEO Hanno Kerner said on Tuesday, quote, we have grown quickly, and like all companies, we review our global structures from time to time to ensure we are prepared for the future. As such, we are proposing changes to our organization, which may result in redundancies. Dyson operates in increasingly fierce and competitive global markets in which the pace of innovation and change is not only accelerating. We know we always need to be the entrepreneur and agile, principles that are not new to Dyson. Unquote, which, yeah, in terms of the knockoffs for these products, they pop up like whack-a-mole, especially when you go to e-commerce platforms. They are everywhere. And there are some countries notorious. If you just say the word patent, I'm pretty sure people laugh at you in China because they do not respect patents over there. They just knock it off. It's impressive how quickly and efficiently they do that in that country. And yeah, this is very much a premium product. You have more and more competition. Again, Dyson does have some really cool innovations. I know they have the Air Blade. If you want to spend like $1,500, no, it's more than that. Like the bathroom one, where you put your hands in, just seemingly magical. Oh, it's not magical. You know how it works. But yeah, the little Air Blade cleaner there. So they have some cool innovations. Now, they say that as well as this revolutionary cyclonic cleaners, Dyson also manufactures air purifiers, hair dryers, and other appliances. They started moving manufacturing from Aylesbury, England to Malaysia in 2002 and opened a new plant in Singapore in 2013 to make digital motors. In 2019, it moved its corporate office to Singapore to be closer to manufacturing sites and Asian markets that accounted for much of its sales, which that's pretty interesting. I wouldn't have thought that'd be one of the biggest areas. I thought the U.S., because I mean, not just because the U.S. is the best, but realistically, that is one of the largest markets in the world, especially when it comes to premium products. And these things start at hundreds of dollars. So, yeah, it makes it interesting. But nevertheless, they say that, quote, the move was controversial given James Dyson's support for Britain to leave European Union in 2016. The company, however, said the decision had nothing to do with Brexit. The Dyson continues to invest in research and development and product design in Britain, including working on an electric vehicle, of course, until it was abandoned the project in 2019. Which, yeah, I remember reading that a couple years ago. I thought it was the dumbest thing on the planet for a vacuum company to make an EV. I mean, for most companies to make an EV in general, since, again, most of them, a majority of them lose money. I mean, Ford lost $131,000, or was $132,000 per EV sold Q2. Granted, yes, these companies are slowly moving in the right direction, but as far as I know, GM is getting there. Tesla is really the only one that, again, they took the biggest risk on the planet. They only recently, relative to the company history, are making a profit there. So it's kind of comical to think that a vacuum manufacturer would want to step up and start manufacturing cars, EVs. It'll be interesting to see what comes in terms of the next innovations, and if they ended up just leaving in Great Britain area just entirely. I mean, let me know. And again, I mean, the average consumer, I think they care less and less in terms of, where these companies are headquartered and where the manufacturing is done. I mean, but let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Culture Pod podcast, you have a possible John Deere boycott after they apparently sponsored pride events for kids, and they have documents using they, them pronouns, and they had a reporter explode this on the X Twitter. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Robbie Starbuck, who said, quote, it's time to expose John Deere. John Deere has been one of the most beloved brands by conservative farmers, but recently, CEO John May's watch, they've gone woke, or on his watch, rather. Which, I was going to say, he has about 5 paragraphs of text. However, his voice is infinitely better than mine, so we'll go ahead and it's a little bit long, about 8 minutes long, but nevertheless, it's one of the most trending things on the X Twitter this week. And I think he can summarize the situation a little bit more effectively than I. And again, this is posted thanks to Robbie Starbuck, which, yeah, I'm already following him. So without too much further ado.
Deere. Alright y'all, it's time to expose John Deere. As many of you know, we had a very big win recently with Tractor Supply where we got them to drop all their woke policies. Well, I regret to inform you that John Deere, another company that relies on conservative customers, has also gone woke. This page you see behind me is their personal pronoun policy. They encourage employees to use pronouns in all communication. And I'm just warning you now, you're going to want to strap in because this is going to be a long video and, in my opinion, much worse than Tractor Supply. But let's continue. This is an event that John Deere sponsored called Capital City Pride's Little Rainbow Run. It was for kids as young as 3 years old to engage in pride. And side note, I don't care if you're gay or straight, kids should not be celebrating what type of sex you like.
We'll also review the major shareholders of John Deere, and this will all make a little bit more sense later.
Weird, it's creepy. Here's a fun photo we found on LinkedIn. Yes, this is John Deere employees being trained on the genderbread man. Yes, the genderbread man. If you're not familiar with that, it's the whole concept that basically gender is completely fluid. There's no such thing as your biological sex. You just are whatever you think you are. So much like Tractor Supply used to have, John Deere has what are called ERG groups. These are a way to divide people on identity lines. Pure identity politics. They separate you by race, sexuality, or any number of these things. This is a post about their rainbow ERG group, which, if you guessed was their gay group, you were correct. You're gonna wanna see the logos that were made for it. As much as I wish I was joking, I am very much not joking. These are real logos that were posted.
Looks like the logos almost look like name tags. Interestingly enough, I can't tell if they're... Really? No.
Posted on LinkedIn. Which, side note...
Yeah, they looks like they're adult toys of all different colors, and it says, ask me how to become an ally.
posted on LinkedIn. Which, side note, John Deere is much more open about their belief system on LinkedIn than
most companies are. It is fascinating to watch the different sections of business representation. If you look at things comparing their, their ex-Twitter profile to their LinkedIn profile to their activity on Facebook as well as Instagram, many of them are two-faced, to say the least.
they are on other social medias. I wonder why that is. But you know what? We'll get back to their stuff on LinkedIn in a minute. Let's go check on their diversity, equity, inclusion page. By the way, Bill Gates is their largest shareholder. Are you getting super conservative vibes yet from John Deere? On this page,
well, technically, it's a company, an investment company owned by Bill Gates, but yeah, it is one of the largest. We'll go over the top 10 or 12 in a minute.
From John Deere's website, they note that the finance team really took things to the next level in 2020 when they said their diversity efforts were just simply not enough. So how did they up the game? Let me show you. One of many ways they upped the game on DEI was for the financing team leaders to do something called a 21-day United for Equity challenge through United Way. So I decided I should take the 21-day challenge. But before I show you what I went through for a few hours, and yes, you should feel sorry for me because I did have to go through the full 21-day thing in a couple of hours. Just note that they are promoting this accounting and finance team as their promotion of inclusive hiring practices and that they're leading the way with a diversity, equity, and inclusion mindset. So this is what apparently they want from employees.
Why's the finance team doing that? I always thought finance team should know things like, profits, losses, ways to actually mitigate your taxes so you may decrease the tax burden. But no, they have different priorities, apparently.
In this 21-day challenge, it was recommended to me that I read Ibram Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist. In this section here, it says that racism is something that we all carry within ourselves. As a result, we must unlearn biased and racist ideas to replace them with tools and actions that are centered around equity, empathy, and solidarity. Here's some stuff you should know about Ibram Kendi. Kendi believes that capitalism and racism are inextricably linked, and you must be an anti-capitalist to be an anti-racist. But enough about Kendi. Here's another one of the challenges I received as part of that 21-day equity challenge. It says, read Awake to Woke to Work, Building a Race Equity Culture, essentially a book about bringing wokeness to work. My other options during that challenge were to review Racial Equity Tool's new glossary of racial equity terms with over 60 terms and new definitions. I mean, this is really the changing of language to try to subvert normalcy. That's what it is.
Can't help but remember Newspeak from 1984 by George Orwell. One of the best, most brilliant books of all time. Unfortunately, probably not taught in many public schools.
Just so you know, communists have always done this. Another challenge option I received was to listen to the podcast episode, Bias Isn't Just a Police Problem, It's a Preschool Problem. No, I'm not joking. I wish I was. And just when we thought we were done with Ibram Kendi, here he comes, he's back again, and they're discussing his book, Anti-Racist Baby. Yes, that is the children's book about anti-racism, which again means anti-capitalism to Ibram Kendi. This 21-day challenge also refers to Jacob Blake as a victim. And in case you forgot who Jacob Blake is, let me remind you. Police believe Jacob Blake was kidnapping children and stealing a car at the time, and Blake had a knife in his hand when he was shot. He had just recently done almost the same thing, taking a car and money, but was charged with just sexual assault in that instance, and was wanted at the time that this incident took place for that sexual assault. When I was recommended a book about black transgender people, the first thing that popped in my mind, by the way, tractors. That was, it immediately links together for me, I don't know.
It would be fascinating to see the statistical breakdown of what tractor owners identify as that. I'm not saying it's zero, but maybe 0.0000187% approximately.
I don't know about you. It was also recommended to me that I listen to a podcast series called Seeing White to discover the history of how the concept of whiteness came to be. And yes, it is completely derogatory against white people. This 21-day equity challenge from United Way also recommended that I watch the 2018 video Deconstructing White Privilege by Robin DiAngelo. Again, another far left figure. You guys wanting to buy a John Deere tractor yet? This challenge also listed white privilege and yes, Christian privilege as the 5 most common types of privileges. And no, they don't mean that in a nice way.
It's kind of ironic or funny. It's kind of the antithesis or the opposite these days. If anything, that's the one group of people you're allowed to discriminate against, culturally speaking, in the United States, which is disgusting because you shouldn't discriminate against anyone just based on the things that they can't control, like their race and their gender. And yeah, is the one butt of every joke since decades is Catholics and Christians. Every other religion gets ultra protective, can't make fun of them. They never do in the mainstream media. But yeah, of course.
Be forgiven though if you were totally confused by this, seeing as the same challenge also tells you that race and racial identity are social constructs, in which case I'm not sure how whiteness exists. They never really explain that. But they did tell me 28 common racist attitudes and behavior, which included believing in reverse racism, colored blindness, treating everybody the same, or individualism. Also racist, asking a person of color for help. You should be asking white people. But don't only ask white people, because that is also racist, as you see in number 24. Also racist, bending over backwards to help. Shouldn't do that. Also racist. There was a whole lot more crazy, but that's a short summary of that 21-day challenge from United Way. And that was promoted on the John Deere website, that the finance team did that, and apparently they love when employees do things like this because they've given millions to United Way since then. And I'm sure right now you guys are all itching to know about the journey that John Deere employees have as rainbow allies. So watch this video. I'm at least pretty sure none of them are hostages, but you decide.
DEI is
And ironically, not a lot of diversity in these videos from John Deere.
no longer an option. It's a business imperative if we want to maintain our leadership in the marketplace and continue to attract great talent and retain the talent.
I'm learning each day how different we all could be and how many unconscious biases are there at work, and how we have to be cautious about them.
Now, why is all of this happening? Because there's much more, and we have a lot to expose. This is going to be coming out over the course of the next few weeks, at the very least. But we need to point out, it seems like all of this has started to happen under CEO John May. John May, since he's been there, has overseen all of these woke policies coming forward, the embrace of DEI, which is just inappropriate. We don't seek our values to be forced on anybody else. We just want neutral workplaces and neutral businesses to buy products from. We don't need your politics or your social values. We just want to have good products, good customer service. That's it. So John has a choice to make, and that's his choice. He's either going to double down on these crazy policies, or he's going to recognize that they are diametrically opposed to the values of his customers. I hope that he chooses to get rid of these crazy policies and do the right thing like Tractor Supply, so we can bring America back to sanity. And you know, I don't know about y'all, but I think
I don't think you will. I'll dive that in a second.
John Deere would be in a much better position if they were more focused on the core business instead of DEI and woke policies, because they just had to do mass layoffs and have announced a production shift to Mexico. I can't think of anything that's a larger betrayal of the American worker than taking jobs to Mexico while forcing this DEI down their throats. It's a violation of so many of your employees' values and your customers' values to push this woke Trojan horse for leftism.
And when they actually announced that they were moving production to Mexico, they noted one of the biggest issues was, well, decreased demand globally for these type of agricultural machineries, but also, obviously, the cost. Imagine how much money John Deere could save if they didn't have a whole bunch of, again, this is coming from the finance department and HR doing these initiatives. Because, again, these aren't cheap. They're paying thousands upon thousands of dollars for those guest speakers, these programs. It costs a lot, and also a lot of opportunity, lost time. Your employees are all participating in that when they should be participating in things that actually drive revenue for the company or increase customer satisfaction or increase the quality of the actual things that they sell. But they're doing those trainings instead.
It is time for a change to bring America back to sanity, and that is what our exposés are going to continue to do, is put pressure on corporate America to tell the truth about the values they're espousing, to tell the truth about how the corporate equality index is influencing them, because again, this is a company, John Deere, with a 95 out of 100 from their CEI score at the Human Rights Campaign. If you've had enough and you've been a John Deere customer or thinking about becoming one, there's their customer service phone number at corporate headquarters. Call them, not your local people, okay? Your local people are not the problem here. Your local dealer is likely just as opposed to this as you are. Feel free to let them know because they run it up the chain, but call this number right here for customer service and let them know how you feel. Also, if you want to email, you can email publicrelations@johndeere.com and let them know how you feel about this. That's it for now, but there will be much more soon.
Yeah, and also one of those things for the dealerships, very similar.
All right, y'all.
He's the way he's on. I don't know why X Twitter thinks it's a feature to have the video replay when you finish it, but yeah, it is important to note, very similar to the automotive traditional, dealership relationship. The John Deere does not own the dealerships. There's just a franchise agreement where, again, they pay almost like a royalty, like a McDonald's. They pay for the right to actually use the John Deere name, the logo, and then they resell the products and provide their own services. Just like when you go to the local Chevy dealership, General Motors does not own that dealership. The mom and pop or business owns that in actuality. And yeah, they do not have any input into that. They might, give a little feedback to the corporate office, and depending on the business, they take their feedback with more or less grains of salt. But yeah, that is important. Now, a lot of people are wondering, why is John Deere doing this? Well, it's because they're shareholders. It's not the consumers. I think from a consumer perspective, the average farmer, let's be honest, most of them are hardworking conservative folks. Most of them just want actually a product that actually, works and is reliable. And they probably wouldn't be too happy the company is investing in things like private parades for kids and distracting the company, spending copious amounts of company resources on these types of trainings and activities and these ideologies. Now, when you look at the top 10 shareholders of John Deere, this all makes a lot more sense. The number one shareholder at 7.98% is the Vanguard Group. The number two shareholder is Cascade Investment LLC. Never heard of them? Nope, neither have I. Well, it is actually owned by Bill Gates, owning 7.17%. The third largest owner is BlackRock, coming in at 6.08%. Fourth largest shareholder is JP Morgan Asset Management at 4%. Quite big. State Street Global Advisors, Inc., 3.73%. Again, the three biggest holding or investment firms in the U.S. are Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. And all of them have very similar ideologies. They do make investment choices and decisions based on what these companies do in regard to those types of DEI, LGBT, ESG types of activities. So they're going to buy even more stock if the company does this. That's why it's no coincidence we're seeing pretty much every Fortune 500 company is doing these types of programs, because the biggest shareholders are pushing them to. You also have Geode Capital Management coming in at number 6 at 1.85%. You also have Wellington Management Group at 1.59%. Morgan Stanley Investment Banking and Brokerage Investments at 1.42%. Number 9 is Janus Henderson Group at PLC at 1.4%. And 10th largest is Parnassus Investments coming in at 1.39%. So now that we know the shareholders, makes a little bit more sense why they're doing all these types of things that aren't directly tied to generating profit for the company. Now, again, this one got 4.2 million views and 48,000 likes on X Twitter. One of the first comments coming from Noah Wall says, for those of you, granted, hey, if you can do me a favor and click that subscribe button, it may assist with my speaking ineptitudes. I have a theory. When I first started the show, barely anyone tuned in, had barely any subscribers, and I spoke really fast. Yes, even faster than now. Mostly a monotone voice, and I mispronounced even more words. However, as I've gained more subscribers, I've slowly but surely increased my speaking abilities. Granted, some might argue it's just a modicum of improvement. However, it is an improvement nevertheless. So if you can do me a favor and click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. And someday, may very well make it through an entire episode with perfect speaking enunciation. Time, of course, shall tell. Now again, Noah Wall, what I was attempting to say, says, quote, for those of you interested, the only reason John Deere didn't get a perfect 100% score on HRC CEI was that they didn't have a, quote, benefits guide for LGBTQ employees. They provided all the required benefits, which included paid transitions for kids, just forgot to make the guide. Wow. Yep, and they do have all this. Yep. I got 2.6 thousand likes. Robbie Starbuck says, I'll have some good news about that soon. Or some news about that soon, more accurately said. 1.9 thousand likes. Marquis Joy says, John Deere Special Edition. It's the CEO's face plastered on Bud Light cans. It's featuring John Deere CEO John May. Gained 1.7 thousand likes. Which, yeah, again, there are a lot of farmers out there who might just change their buying decisions. And again, those are pretty big decisions. These things cost about a house on wheels. They're massive pieces of machinery. Scrolling down more and more, you have Paul Zupa saying, quote, oh man, Robbie is going to give John Deere the tractor supply treatment, getting 1,000 likes. Craig Chamberlain says, quote, DEI is a true systematic racism that the left keeps claiming to exist, and it needs to be abolished, unquote, getting 540 likes. Let's see, Bricky Trans Flag says, quote, FYI, supporting our community is not turning their backs on conservatives. I thought you conservatives always preached about loving others. Recently, it seems like that changed into hate. Mostly mentally back-based, but got 113 likes. Now, this person was immediately ratioed beyond belief. Statistically speaking, Robbie Starbuck responded saying, quote, we don't want our money contributing to events that celebrate and honor that kind of sex you like or have found, or how confused you are about your sex. What's nuts is that you apparently thought we'd be cool with funding them when we didn't agree with it. That got 2.4 thousand likes. Which again, I mean, no one cared what folks, I mean, most Americans don't care what folks do in the bedroom as long as a kid isn't involved. I think that's a lot of, most people think that. The issue is, again, a lot of these pride parades, you have naked adults in front of kids. I mean, a lot of people, that's a big red flag or big pride flag. So to me, that's one of the biggest points of controversy when it comes to many of these instances. Also, when you have these workforce activities where you're treating people differently based on their race, that's not only illegal on a federal level, but it's also immoral. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of reasons people are opposed to these types of activities. You have Ginny saying, "Thank you, Robbie, for the information." She has a picture that says, "I identify as a overtaxed, underrepresented, non-woke, pissed off American citizen," getting 1.4 thousand likes. Pro-American Politics says, "Drag queens don't drive tractors, John Deere. Conservative farmers do. Boycott them." I got 2.4 thousand likes. Valentina Gomez says, "Go woke, go broke. Any farmer knows there's only two sexes, or try milking a bull. Every company needs to stop this gay shit." Getting 1.5 thousand likes. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Wow, so someone actually added the shares to the larger shareholders. Vanguard Group, again, the larger shareholder, has 21.99 million shares of John Deere. A lot of reasons to do what they say. Let's see here. Low Grade Food Dog says, "Deere is also fighting right to repair, which means they don't want you to repair your own equipment. Not even belts, hoses, or light bulbs. Must take it to a John Deere authorized repair shop." I got 917 likes. And yes, there's another point of controversy in the farming community, as well as, most Americans. Right to repair is a huge thing. And yeah, a lot of people are not happy that John Deere wants to lock everything in, basically treating it like a smartphone on wheels. Especially not good when you're a farmer in the middle of nowhere, relatively speaking. If you have something break, then you have to wait for some technician to fly out there to fix it, or you have to carry that thing or tow that thing all the way to the dealership. Doesn't seem logical. Seems pretty stupid. Going down more and more. Let's see. There's only one contrarian comment thus far. Let's see here. Suppose them says DEI must DIE. It's a picture of John Deere. Oh, but it's in photoshopped. This is John Queer, and it's a picture of the pride flag. I get 476 likes. JCS says they have been overpriced for what they are for some time. Kubota or even Madaria and Coyote are much better brands for the price. They are as much as built in America as John Deere. Everyone outsources their parts and puts them together here. Got 235 likes, which Kubota is an awesome, well, you could argue is Texas-based company. I mean, globally they are headquartered in Japan. Those things are darn near bulletproof. I got a couple of farmer buddies. I mean, those things just keep running like a champ. Going down more and more. Let's see here. Joshua says, "I'm already annoyed with John Deere for moving to Mexico and firing tons of Americans." 461 likes. Let's see. Interestingly, so only one country in comment thus far. Midwest Mom says, "As Midwestern John Deere customers, I am appalled. I'll never buy another product again." Getting 80 likes. So once again, we have the age-old argument of who's more important, the shareholder or the actual customer. Because in this case, those values are overwhelmingly the opposite of each other on it. So what will John Deere do? Again, they're owned, of all those 10 shareholders, the 10 largest shareholders, an overwhelming majority of those shareholders want them to do these types of activities. But most of the customers might just not buy anything because of that. So I almost wonder who's going to give out first, or what will they do? And we see an overwhelming majority of the time the customers, or rather the business, sides with the shareholders when it comes to these types of cultural instances. And really the only two times I remember in the past couple of years, I mean, the company even acknowledged there's an instance was Bud Light, which attempted to do something, but it was mostly too late. And they lost about 30% of their sales, just gone, thanks to that business blunder of the year. And then you have Tractor Supply, which Tractor Supply did backtrack. However, now Tractor Supply is being at risk of being boycotted from people on the left or far left who believe in the DEI, ESG, XY Banana Falcon types of initiatives. So kind of an age-old instance also, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. However, when it comes to farming and agriculture, I think there is an overwhelming majority of the customers and prospective customers who don't want them doing these types of pride parades with kids, these types of ESG, DEI scores. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have a British TV anchor going viral when she noted migrant crime, as well as, unfortunately, sexual harassment against her daughter. Now, this was brought to us thanks to Lives of TikTok on X Twitter, in which she says, quote, watch local British TV anchor Alex Phillips go off about migrant crime in London. Phillips said she had to hide in a neighbor's house after a migrant followed her home, and she had her phone stolen. She also claimed that her friend's teenage daughters had been followed, groped, and sexually assaulted. She says, quote, I don't care if people turn around and go, you're racist, because my safety and safety as a woman in the country is paramount. The UK just voted for more of this. And it's also unfortunate, and yet another reason to not give up your guns. They love disarming citizens and only, keeping it for the government. Disgusting. Granted, her voice is obviously infinitely better than mine. We'll play her really quick.
I'm going to do something which most journalists and presenters wouldn't dare do. That is going down the route of a particularly
Tell the truth, that is rare.
taboo story that is close to my heart, shall we say. And I'll tell you why. It's all about crimes and migrants committing crimes. And I'll tell you why this is particularly close to my heart. Because to coin a favourite phrase of the left wing, it has been my lived experience over the past 3 years or so that a lot of crimes happening against women especially seem to be committed by people who aren't from this country. I've been followed home with a man in one of those Afghan Kolpal hats.
Creepy thing is, Germany actually gave a harsher sentence to a girl who made a social media post talking about how bad the migrants were in that case, in that instance. The migrant actually sexually assaulted people in Germany. The migrant got less of an offense than the girl who tweeted about it, which kind of shows you how messed up the world is these days.
Chuntering away in some language, all the way to my front door. I had to hide in my neighbour's house and pretend I didn't live in my house because he was lurking around outside trying to do indecent things to himself. That's right. I've also had my phone robbed off me by a Roma woman with a scarf on. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Who are these people? Why are we importing all this stuff? I cannot walk down the streets where I live anymore without weird men leering at me, making comments. Look, I'm not one of these Me Too movement women. When it was builders wolf whistling from vans, I don't care. Sometimes it brightens up your day. Because what they don't do is they don't get into your personal space. They don't trail you. They don't physically approach you. They don't follow you to your front door. It's a very different sort of more harmless thing, a wolf whistle, than some of the stuff I'm being subjected to now. And some of the stuff my best mate who lives around the corner, again, her lived experience. Also, guess what? A woman with long blonde hair. She has 4 teenage daughters. All of them now have at some point been sexually assaulted. They have been groped, they have been followed. They are scared living in London. What is going on? So I am going to keep talking about this. I don't care if people turn around and goes, you're a racist, because my safety and the safety of women in this country is paramount. That is way more important than offending certain communities who, quite frankly, have men with medieval values when it comes to women, and I ain't standing for it.
Well said. Unfortunately, she might just lose her job because of that. It went pretty viral. It got 3.2 million views and 50,000 likes. Which, I mean, there's no best repellent or equalizer than, giving them guns. Like, one of my favorite quotes of all time has to be from the good old Sam Colt, who famously made the first commercially successful repeating revolver, whereas ones before him they had a lot of misfires, the time wasn't right. It was the first reliable revolver. And one of the best quotes of all time is, God made man, Samuel Colt made man equal. One of the most apt metaphors ever. Which again, if you want to protect women, give them their God-given ability to bear arms. Thank God you can do that in most of the United States. However, a lot of these, I should clarify, more totalitarian and evil government places, they take those rights away. In fact, in some countries, you cannot even carry a pocket knife. Ridiculous and disgusting, obviously. Now, one of the first comments comes from Paul Zupa saying, quote, sad to say, but England is going to get even worse now that their government is going to enhance it, that it recently voted to go further left. Got 1.4 thousand likes. Planet a Meme says it's only a matter of time until actual citizens of the countries fight back, getting 775 likes. Unfortunately, again, if they do, some places, they'll get more in trouble than the actual evil perpetrators. The Texas one says, don't vote for the same crap, getting 142 likes. Craig Chamberlain gets a, I don't know what you call it, an A+ or bonus points for having the best quote of the week. He said, and obviously it's from George Orwell, the best book, 1984. Also, if you have kids, Animal Farm is a great way to get the same concept. It's about half the page count, and the vernacular, I think, is more easier for a kid to understand, and there's less adult themes in it. Now, Craig Chamberlain says, quote, in time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act, unquote. And that is a quote, of course, from George Orwell. They got 3.6. Could we make it 3.7 thousand? No, but it still got one. See here. Bo says, this has happened to my daughter and many of her friends' daughters too. A lot of time it's not something you can call the police over. My daughter was approached by 3 men and they surrounded her asking for her time. She ran off. You can't call the police and say she was... Oh, sorry, I had to expand the paragraph. She just can't have a police because it wasn't a serious crime. They can't do anything about it. Little girls are approached for sex in the park. Just this week, a man was taking a crap in the park. Is this San Francisco? The city's notorious for that. Quote, you can walk down the street and there are groups of men staring at you and talking amongst themselves. A girl was nearly dragged into a car last week. It's everywhere, all around, everywhere you go. They're hostile, aggressive, and pervy. They leer and glare and look at you up and down. It's absolutely vile. This is a little Cornish town where the men and gentlemen hold doors open for you and say polite good morning and would never approach a lone girl. These kids aren't going out to play and riding their bikes like they were a few years ago. The street is dying because it's just like vape shops, kebab shops, and Turkish barbers all owned by the same few people. Got 1.5 thousand likes for that particular comment. Let's see. I Love American News says, it's about to get a lot worse. Hashtag thanks Obama. And it says, quote, the UK is about to get a new prime minister, someone Obama had been mentoring for months. That got 1,000 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Stormy T says, coming to America. This picture of Biden says, oh, he didn't say this is the text on the picture. It says, I don't care how many women die. My votes are more important than your women's lives. Getting 714 likes, which is also hypocritical. And I guess if you like dark humor, a little funny. But, the women, statistically speaking, women or single women, white women at home do vote very much left. They say they care about women's rights, and yet they vote to take those rights away so they can't defend themselves by disarming them, which is disgusting and immoral. AKA says it's crazy and the whole world is seemingly okay with this. Getting 1.5 thousand likes. It would be fascinating to see the paper trail of who's paying for all these flights and who's importing these people all over the planet. Let's see, any contrarian statements here. One bad dude said she'll be canceled for speaking the truth, getting 450 likes. Let's see. Courage is a Habit says, never before in the history of mankind have we convinced people to put their own safety and finances at risk simply because they're afraid of being labeled. Everything begins with weaponizing your kindness and empathy. Getting 749 likes. Let's see. Old School Eddie says, wherever these migrants are being allowed to swarm, crime is rising sharply. There's no denying the fact. We can all see it, getting 683 likes. Again, was it not Afghan? What was it? Germany. A gal she spoke. Yeah, she actually posted in terms of why this girl got more of a crime from the government than the men who actually not these men who actually abuse these women. She got a harsher crime for she simply posted the statistics on the people committing the sexual assault in Germany. So just posting the crime statistics got her in trouble with the government as opposed to the men who actually did the crime. That's the government for you. And it's obviously viscerally disgusting to say the least. Now, again, will anything change? I mean, I certainly hope so. We're seeing more and more of these instances. And again, not all migrants are doing this, obviously. It is concerning when there's a high propensity of it, and it's even a higher in Germany. The statistics are, was it 8 to 9 times more prevalent? It's astonishing. And yeah, there definitely needs to be a better vetting process, again, especially for the folks that are coming to other countries legally. But will things change? I'm not so sure. I certainly hope so. But let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear, especially if you're international or if you have been affected locally, you've seen this firsthand. I would be especially fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have Biden saying he would veto a bill that prevents non-citizens from voting, which I'm going to say, forget how many conspiracy theories have been proven true the past couple of years. I don't want to say it, but it is cliche to say. put another dollar in the Alex Jones was right jar. Now, this actually reposted by Elon on X Twitter. And again, this is from Speaker Johnson. Elon simply says, wow. And Speaker Johnson says, it should alarm every American citizen that the sitting president of the United States, who has opened our border to over 9 million illegals, just announced he would veto our bill to prevent non-citizens from voting. And it got 40.4 million views and 186,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes from, again, all right, we got a contrarian comment right off the bat. I was wondering where he went. It's been a couple days since I see him in the chat or the comment section. The first comment comes from Paul Zupa saying, quote, Joe Biden wants to make illegals so Democrats can cheat in the elections and censuses. It's been his plan all along. Question, why did Speaker Johnson fund this Biden regime? He knew this would happen. Unquote, gained 1.4 thousand likes, which Biden's not alone. That has been done for decades in terms of illegal immigrants counting on the U.S. Census, which is ridiculous to say the least because it gives states a huge incentive to have the illegal behavior increase in frequency. Now, we also have our favorite contrarian or leftist, Luke Zaleski, which, granted, I mean, I'm not a big fan of him. However, echo chambers getting a little bit boring, and more perspective is better. The background on Luke is he is someone who is, again, far left, but he also brags about how he wrote an article for GQ saying boys should not be allowed to play football. And he also has a picture of him wearing a V-neck as a cartoon, as a profile picture, which is ridiculous, since we all know that all true men always suit up, obviously. Now, Luke says, quote, we shall alarm every American that the right wing and Trump are in absolute sync and have been with Putin. Grammar error. Putin was not capitalized, Mr. Luke, and is a name, so it should be capitalized. Nevertheless, then he starts the sentence with their, and that's not capitalized. Pathetic. Nevertheless, their talking points and democratic actions and agendas are antagonistic to the rule of law and ongoing, and have led to impeachment and attack on Congress. Mentally vacuous, however, it got 698 likes and 96 comments. Deratioed. Let's see. Not by number of likes, but a lot of people giving contrarian comments to him. And of course, he didn't actually. This is, I don't know if it's kind of leftist thing, but he didn't actually disprove the original post. He's notorious for just copy pasting just his random talking points. Maybe that's just above his pay grade to actually articulate his thoughts into coherent statements, which, granted, I don't have much ground to stand on. Well, at least, when I'm on the camera. But if I'm, sitting at a computer or using your phone, you should have time to actually think out a response. But no, he didn't actually address the substance of the debate or the issue. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, this is treason, getting 3.3 thousand likes. He also says, quote, it's strange that Mike posted this. The guy could have leveraged a closed border months ago, getting 3.7 thousand likes, which, yep, Republicans are notorious for acquiescing from responsibility and just, doing whatever Democrats want, which one of my favorite, metaphors for politics is Democrats are running off a cliff, Republicans are just walking towards the cliff. Because, again, they gave Biden the funding for a lot of these things, and they had some leverage, and yet they just did nothing, basically. Going down more and more. Let's see. I'll be back says it has a picture of Biden, and it says, quote, treason. You don't steal an election, give money to weapons to the Taliban, destroy our military, destroy our food supply, destroy energy and glass, disassemble your border, and encourage an invasion of your own country, and it not be a treasonous act against your own people and country. Lock them up, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Now, in his defense, when it comes to the southern border, he gave that job to Kamala Harris, and she's been doing a great job. That's a joke, because I don't know what she actually does, and I don't think she could accomplish anything, really. Yeah, that was one of the things he told her to do. Obviously, she's failed. Though, from her perspective, I mean, working perfectly for them. But in terms of our country and security, yeah, obviously, F-. Let's see. I'll be back as like 50, is it memes in a row? All right, I'll read this one because it's the most popular one before you have a bunch. I'll be back as a meme. It says, Democrats have chosen illegal criminals and terrorists over its U.S. citizens. It got 709 likes. Let's see here. Melissa says, absolutely. It's a picture that says fair elections would end the Democrat Party, getting 650 likes, which, I mean, it wouldn't. Because, again, the U.S. on average is about 50-50 split, left versus right and right Republican. But it is interesting they have to import, all this importation is happening right before the election season. Oh, totally coincidence, I'm sure. Ha! That was a sarcasm. Let's see. This is important, so I'll read it. Published says, Arizona allows illegal aliens to vote in federal elections. This is why Democrats oppose the SAVE Act or any requirements to strengthen election integrity. On Arizona Medicaid form, it clearly states, if you do not submit proof of citizenship, let me expand the paragraph so I can read it a little bit better. If you do not submit proof of citizenship and we cannot acquire your proof of citizenship from the Arizona Motor Vehicle Division or statewide registry, you'll receive a federal-only ballot, which has only federal races and no state, county, or local elections, initiatives, and referendums. Wow. I got 174 likes. Here. America Mama Bear says no politician or any politician rather who does not pass this is a traitor, period, getting 850 likes. And she is referencing the act that Speaker Johnson is proposing to actually, make it so you have to be a citizen to vote in the federal elections. Should be every election in the U.S., obviously. Well, obviously us. But let's see. Scrolling down more and more. Jeez Louise. I'm trying to scroll because I'll be back as like 50 memes in a row. Okay, finally. 60 memes, jeez. Let's see. Alright, here's one that's popular. It's not a meme, but it's an interview. Short video. He simply says, Black Americans are waking up. Says once every 4 years, Democrats will come out. They'll slither their way into Black entertainment space. What it's like for the first 3 years, we don't see them anywhere. Yep. Especially if they go to the churches. They do that a lot too. What's this? Mary Wicker has a picture of Biden and says, if you won't vote Democrat, I'll flood the country with people who will. Getting 301 likes. Oh, that's a good one from some meme was made by Turning Point USA. Brock has a meme that says, when a valid ID is required. 1, boarding a plane. 2, getting a prescription. 3, applying for a job. 4, cashing a check. 5, applying for food stamps. 6, driving. 7, getting married. 8, adopting a pet. 9, buying alcohol. Then it says, when a valid ID is not required, voting. They got 616 likes. Again, 1 or 2 contrarian statements, but overwhelming majority of people saying, yeah, what the heck is the White House thinking? Perhaps just saying the quiet part out loud. And, I mean, a lot of Americans might be irate, but what are they going to do? I mean, obviously need to get out and vote, of course. But will the Senate do anything? I mean, Biden says he'll veto it, so even if it passes vote, even if it passes somehow, the Senate, maybe the House actually does get passed as well. And I'm not counting on them. There's a lot of rhinos, pejoratively known as Republicans in name only, as this is, it shouldn't be, but this has become a political issue with people on the far left thinking, shouldn't have any ID to vote and doesn't matter, anyone can vote. And people, I'd say in the middle and right, say, no, you should be a U.S. citizen and have a valid form of ID to vote in federal elections, and any elections, obviously. And it'll be interesting to see how many votes are, because again, Elon, we'll probably dive into this on Monday perhaps, but Elon had a post on X Twitter talking about how hard it'll be to actually verify if these votes were or were not valid with the current methodology they're using. But let me know, do you have any friends who think this is a good idea? Or do you know any friends who think, we should just let everyone vote? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have California introducing a bill, SB 1414, to make it a felony to purchase a child, again, for have earmuffs on if you have kids listening to this segment of the show. They want to make it a felony to purchase a child for sex, but bill is being opposed by some folks in the LGBT community. Again, not all, some. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok on X Twitter. She says, quote, LGBTQ activists speak out against SB 1414, a California bill which would make it a felony to purchase children for sex. They claim it would affect LGBT people more. When they tell us who they are, believe them, unquote. And I usually say their voices are infinitely better than mine. This might be a coin flip, so to say. But what is this? This is the video from the California State Assembly. And it's only about 3 minutes long. Oh, what that kind of malarkey? As Biden would say, what kind of malarkey is this? There's a gentleman at the table on the speaking panel who's wearing a striped t-shirt. Ridiculous. Again, if you're going to these types of events, at least, as all men should, suit up, obviously. But fashion faux pas aside, go ahead and I'll play this.
We believe that SB 1414 takes an overly punitive approach that fails to address the root causes of these issues and will not effectively stop sexual violence. We are particularly concerned that the harsher penalties proposed in this bill will disproportionately impact marginalized communities, especially members of the LGBTQ community, who already suffer from systematic biases within the criminal justice system, particularly when it comes to sexually based offenses. Studies have shown that LGBTQ people, particularly gay and transgendered individuals, are more likely to be charged with sex offenses compared to their heterosexual counterparts.
That's fascinating that she's saying that part out loud.
For instance, LGBTQ individuals are 9 times more likely to be charged with sodomy. Measures like SB 1414 lead to higher rates of incarceration, longer sentences, and increased difficulties in finding housing and employment.
Today, EBC must strongly oppose Senate Bill 1414 for the reasons I will state.
Oh, I wonder if this video getting taken down off the YouTube. Apparently I misgendered this individual, because I guess that boy in the striped t-shirt is actually a girl? The voice sounds like it. The hair obviously is of a man. Let me know, do you think this sounds like a guy or a girl?
We stand against any punitive measure that perpetuates systemic injustices, and we emphasize instead the need for community-based solutions. We strongly support investments in victim services and programs to provide housing and other alternatives to help people escape trafficking. We are concerned that the harsher...
Which, again, I think everyone agrees victims should be supported. And yet there's... But their main focus is, this is too harsh for the bad guys.
Penalties contained in this bill will disproportionately impact marginalized communities, particularly Black and Brown individuals who already bear the brunt of systemic biases within our criminal justice system. Under current California law, defendants could face years or even decades in prison for sexual violence committed against a minor.
So this person's complaining about that? If anything, again, legally speaking, I think the judges should have the option, if the person is convicted with enough evidence that they harmed a child, why don't you have an option for the death penalty? Now, you have some sane states like Tennessee that recently passed a law that did, again, doesn't force the judge to, but it gives them the option to ascribe or assign that level of justice for the most evil, mentally vacuous, morally vacuous people on the planet, the people who abuse children. Sorry to interrupt, I'll rewind it by a second or two so you can hear what he has to say.
In prison for sexual violence committed against a minor, not just 6 months in jail as Senator Grove and prosecutors have previously claimed. Furthermore, the approach outlined in SB 1414 diverts resources from vital programs and services aimed at supporting survivors of human trafficking and sexual exploitation, opting instead to increase funding for lengthy jail terms. Our research has shown that punitive measures such as lengthy incarceration and registries do little to prevent crime or protect communities. Instead,
so more evidence, my idea is better. Because again, if you permanently solve the problem, again, legally, the judge convicted the person, then they terminate their life. Well, as a wise man, Ted Nugent once said, I don't like repeat offenders, I like dead offenders. Again, through the public justice system appropriately assigned.
They perpetuate cycles of incarceration, exacerbating the very problems they are meant to address. Rather than investing in punitive measures, we should be investing in community-based solutions that address the underlying issues driving exploitation. We should instead support survivors in healing and rebuilding their lives with access to housing and funding for service providers. Given this, we respectfully urge you to oppose SB 1414. Thank you.
Thank you.
And respectful opposition.
Shivani Nishar with Ella Baker Center in respectful opposition. I'm also registering opposition on behalf of Just Advocate, California Innocence Coalition, Uncommon Law, CURB, and Felony Murder Elimination Project.
Melanie Kim, San Francisco Public Defender's Office, respectful opposition.
Duke Cooney on behalf of ACLU California Action, respectful opposition. Thank you.
Again, these people are saying it should not be a felony to abuse a child. They're all defending child abusers.
Jim Lindbergh, Friends Committee on Legislation of California, opposed. Thank you.
And again, I'm glad they expressed their opinions publicly, because now we know, again, you can publicly protest them, or if they're elected official, you could say, hey, let's not reelect this pervert. They're evil. Again, one of the beauties of free speech is you know exactly what they're thinking and what they're standing up for, which is disgusting and mentally vacuous. And yeah, so some states, Yeah, and again, now the good news is this passed, I believe, the Senate recently. I think it was a day or two ago. Let me pull up the actual statistic on that really quick. SB 1404, Cali. I think it did. And it's quite concerning when there are some even SB typos usually make it a little bit hard to find it. Let's see what the actual looks like. Article saying how they were trying to water it down. Now it looks like it passed in May, 36-0, after being amended. So actually it was even more harsh in the beginning. Here. Which, again, this is so disgusting that people would stand up for child abusers. Paul Zupa says, quote, why would a bill that legally punishes people for trafficking children for sex affect LGBTQ people more? What are they trying to say? Sounds offensive. Unquote, getting 5.8 thousand likes, which, yes, it is true. Because, again, there are many, 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 many LGBTQI people who are not like that. And yet these people are saying, oh, yeah, it would affect all of them disproportionately. That sounds pretty offensive to me. I'd be irate if I was part of that community. Like, there's no, yeah. The Texas one says these people are straight up kid diddlers, getting 202 likes. Fight with memes, A+ for marketing. They responded in a meme form. I mean, when it comes to Planet of Memes, a famous commenter, it's like a 50-50 shot if there's actually a meme in the comment. Now, nevertheless, Fight with Memes says these people are psychopaths. And it's a picture of a trad man saying, quote, you can't mutilate children or dance half naked in front of them. And the trans man with the purple hair, redundant, yes, says that's literally genocide, getting 3.7 thousand likes. Let's see here. Bragger Guy says anyone who opposes this bill is evil. And it says, quote, California Bill SB 1414, introduced by Senators Shannon Grove, Anna Calabaro, and Susan Rubio. Again, I believe that's bipartisan support. Some of them are Democrat, some Republican. Aims to address and combat human trafficking by making the purchase of sex from a minor a felony. The bill proposes increased penalties from those who solicit to or purchase sex from minors, emphasizing the serious nature of the crime. A 1.7 thousand likes. Which, again, me personally, I don't think the bill goes far enough. It's just making it a felony. Again, I think it'd be great to solve the problem permanently. Again, you do have to prove it in a court, but give the judge the ability to actually assign the death penalty to those evil perpetrators. Rolling down more and more. Cargo Short Life says every time, and it's a picture of Lisa from The Simpsons giving a speech. It says, quote, the plus includes pedos. And I got 4.4 thousand likes, obviously in reference to the acronym LGBTQIA+. Now, it is horrifying that there are people just roaming around in the United States who are promulgating that there should be tolerance for MAPS, which is their newest spin on pedos, where they call them minor attracted persons. Yeah, that's disgusting to say the least. Now, granted, they're all literally saying this stuff out loud. You know, again, if they're a public official, vote for someone else immediately. Maybe if they're running unopposed, primary them. Going down more and more. Wayne Dunlop says shameful coming from their leaders. It's an article saying Obama removed 500,000 pedos from background check database. And there's another article saying Biden's DOJ removed international sex trafficking of minors as an area of concern, getting 490 likes. Mike Lee, 1459, says, quote, if the LGBTQ community is affected disproportionately by a law making it a felony to purchase children for sex, then the problem is not the law, it's with the LGBTQ community. That got 3.9 thousand likes. The Rogue Political says, imagine being an adult in 2024 and fighting against a law that would make it illegal to buy children for sex slaves, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Zombo says, they just tell us that they are pedos the whole time. Listen. And I forget which dystopian movie it was, when a gentleman where he would only see the aliens if he put on the glasses and also translate signs and stuff. And he's not wearing the glasses, and he says, there's a billboard that says love is love. When he puts the glasses on, he sees the reality. It says legalized pedo, getting 363 likes. Junita Broderick says child predators, getting 3.4 thousand likes. The Patriot Oasis says LGBTQ wants to normalize child pedo, getting 773 likes, which not all of them, but some of them do. Senator Shannon Grove says, thank you for sharing my bill. It really shouldn't be this hard to protect our California children, yet they want to make 16 and 17-year-olds to first prove they've been sex trafficked before charging the buyer with a felony. It's so backwards, you can't make this stuff up. Still sad, it only got 385 likes, which one was from me. Let's see here. Any contrarian statements? Proud Patriot says these people are child predators. Why the hell are we as a civilized society listening to these people? Good question. Getting 1,000 likes. So again, not a lot of contrarian statements. Now, it is quite concerning that, again, there are millions of Americans who are opposing this bill and are irate that it even exists. And let's see. It'll be interesting to see how this is going to affect the upcoming election. We haven't heard too much about this. I mean, during the Trump-Biden debates, or, will this be a big point of contention? Will it be a big topic going into the 2024 election? Again, this is right now, this particular story is about it being done on a state level. I'm not sure. I speculated when we were covering the Tennessee story. I wonder if in our lifetime, will we see this on a federal level in terms of a punishment? There are also some states who do not, unfortunately, allow the death penalty as an option for the judge to ascribe to people who have been convicted of crimes. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Peter Doocy asking Karine Jean Pierre, do they wake Biden if a nuke were to come after 8 p.m.? Now, granted, I think I probably butchered her name worse than anything else, but nevertheless, she is the White House press secretary, and I mean, that is just a weird name. Pierre, a pair? Almost as ridiculous as a name like Topping. Oh, wait, I partially digress, but in all seriousness, this was reported thanks to Colin Rugg over on X Twitter, and he says, quote, just in news, Fox News, Peter Doocy trolls Karine Jean Pierre by asking if the Pentagon calls Jill Biden if anyone launches a nuke past 8 p.m. Brutal. And without too much further ado, go ahead and I'll let him play that clip here.
Well, he also said he's...
Oh, come on now. There we go.
Well, he also said he's sharpest before 8 p.m. So, say that the Pentagon...
Business Slayers, just watch her body language. I mean, the opposite of confidence. Shame, mentally vacuous, and she is doing everything she can to avoid all eye contact. Granted, she's probably reading her pre-talking points, perhaps, as well.
At some point picks up an incoming nuke. It's 11 p.m. Who do you call? The First Lady?
He has a team that lets him know of any news that is pertinent and important to the American people. He has someone, or that is decided, obviously, with his National Security Council on who gets to tell him that news.
Well, he also...
Her voice, she almost sounds defeated. Look at this. Like a balloon deflating.
That is decided, obviously, with his National Security Council on who gets to tell him that news.
You know she's lying through her teeth. I mean, I would love to play poker with her. Like, I'm not a great player. I'm rudimentary, to say the beat. I mean, I'm not going to win many matches. But, oh yeah. I mean, it's so obvious she's lying. Translation, if we get nuked in the middle of the night, we're screwed. Yeah. Then went pretty viral. Got 5.1 million views and 41,000 likes. The first comments coming from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, Peter Doocy is a legend, getting 5.5 thousand likes. Junita Broderick says, I'd really like to know who is in charge. We know Biden is not capable of performing the duties of president. Will we ever find out who has been running the country? Yeah, that got 3.7 thousand likes. Colin Rugg responded saying, quote, it's likely a mix between the top people of his administration and Jill Crypt Keeper Biden. Well, I had the Crypt Keeper in there. That got 1.6 thousand likes. Western Lensman says, not to worry, Hunter is answering the White House phone calls after 8 p.m. They got 2.4 thousand likes. Yeah, never forget that Joe Biden said that Hunter Biden was one of the smartest guys he knows. A crackhead who spent a life of debauchery. Yeah, that's the smartest person he knows. Yeah. Let's see. Paul Zupa says, Peter Doocy as always keeps DEI KGP so nervous. He falls apart as usual, lied and babbled. Hilarious. Joe Biden is incompetent to make decisions no matter what time of day it is. Getting 927 likes. Cali Hay says Doocy is savage AF. His picture of Peter Doocy suited up as all men should, obviously. It says savage AF, getting 1.9 thousand likes. Here. Oh, this is good. Amit Shah parody says Peter Doocy brought up Biden's comment about his brain not working as well as it used to, and Karine Jean Pierre instantly snapped back. It's only about 57 seconds long, and go ahead and play that.
We know the president says that his health is fine, but it's just his brain. And that he's sharpest before...
He was joking, by the way. I just want to make sure that that's out there. And he was making a lighthearted joke as he was speaking off. He's speaking off the cuff, and he was making a joke. You know the president; he likes to joke a lot. He's the same guy who says, "I know I look 40," right? So he likes to make jokes. It is a joke. I think people laugh when he says it.
Well,
people laugh, but not at his jokes. Let's be honest.
He also said he's sharpest before 8 p.m. So, say that the Pentagon at some point picks up an incoming nuke. It's 11 p.m. Who do you call? The First Lady?
He has a team that...
Yeah, he has a team. I got 118 likes. See, scrolling down more and more. Tom Young says Peter Doocy has been the one person brave enough to go against her time after time, getting 554 likes. Red Wave Press says Peter is savage. He is great. I'm surprised he's still allowed at the White House press conferences, getting 403 likes. Ethan has a repost of Red Wing Grips says, would you like to know how I'm positive that the FBI protects high-profile pedos? They raided Epstein's private island, confiscated computers, hard drives, various electronic devices, along with 20,000 images from his mansion in Manhattan, and didn't make a single arrest. Got 230 likes. Yeah. Oh, there you go. KJP in a McDonald's outfit saying, would you like some lies with that? And 148 likes for that particular meme from Peasball. Yeah, it's not looking good. Again, it's the presidency is supposed to be one of the most stressful, important jobs on the planet, where, yeah, you could be, obviously, you could be woken up at 2 in the morning with possibly a world-ending event or news. You need to be able to make a decision like that. And yet, even my friends who are more left-leaning, I don't know anyone who is confident that Joe Biden specifically, can do that. Perhaps Jill, but again, we didn't vote for her. So it'll be interesting to see as the election gets closer and closer, how many people are going to be influenced by these types of clips or these types of things going viral. At this point, I'm not too surprised, but let me know, as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Barron Trump making waves at a Trump rally and going viral on social media. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Tara Bull over on X Twitter, in which she says, quote, Barron Trump has arrived. What's your first impression of him? And like all true men, he did, of course, suit up. Playing about 1:20 long at a rally here.
A very young man. He's now going to college, got into every college he wanted to, and he made his choice. And he's a very good guy, I'll tell you. You know, I'm not allowed to call them boy, but he is my boy. He's my boy. They're all my boys, right? When you have sons, you can be any age, they're your boy. They're always going to be, and he's a very special guy. Barron Trump. This is the first time he's heard of Barron. Where is Barron? Stand up. Look at him.
Of all the kids, he looks like his father the most.
That's the first time he's done it. That's the first time, right? Hey, you're pretty popular. He might be more popular than Don and Eric. We got to talk about it. Hey, Don, we got to talk about this, huh? All right. So, Barron, it's good to have you. Welcome to the scene, Barron. I don't know. He had such a nice, easy life. Now it's a little bit changed. Anyway, a special guy, right?
Big contrast between the Biden family. Multiple entrepreneurs, and then you have, what's Hunter Biden done? He does paint. Granted, I think most people suspect it's for money laundering and his drug, all that kind of stuff, and the bribes with Ukraine. Fascinating to see the importance of a father and how much of an impact it can have on the children. Now, this got 4.2 million views and 48,000 likes. The first comments coming from Gunther Eagleman saying future president, getting 723 likes. Freeman O'Ring says, we love him. The whole Trump family is loved. This is what the first family should look like. Okay, 1.5 thousand likes. Which, yeah, remember when they said dignity was on the ballot? And yet, what has Hunter Biden also done? Married his brother's wife. He married her, a daughter with a stripper. But I mean, Biden didn't even announce the granddaughter until very, very recently. Cut her out of the life, and yeah. But remember, dignity is on the ballot. Going down more and more. Ray says, should have been 8-year Ewan? I don't know what that means. Have 4 years of Trump, 8 years of Junior, 8 years of Eric, and 8 years of Barron. I got 240 likes. Grammar be damned. And I'm not really a fan of that. I know Eric's a successful. Be interested to see what Eric might do for Don Jr. I don't think they've aspired political aspirations. No, they're successful entrepreneurs. Now, Stephen Miller has a picture of, I don't know if it's a Photoshop, but it's Barron Trump. It looks like he's standing in front of the Trump podium, getting 663 likes. Let's see. Maxwell says the Trumps could be the new Kennedys for the right, getting 506 likes. Stacey Cooper says, I love that Eric Trump and Mike Lindell stood up to cheer for him, and Don Jr. was seated but cheering, getting 533 likes. Let's see. Midwest Mom says, he's my boy. They're all my boys. If you have a son, you know, no matter what age, they're always your boy. Getting 557 likes. Low-key 2.0 says future president, getting 855 likes. See if there's any contrarian comments here. Let's see. Brittany says, funny you should say, I was Googling him earlier today. He turned out to be a very handsome man, and he's putting on some weight and maturing. And of course, he's got the Trump, the thumbs up picture of him with Melania, getting 94 likes. Desiree says he looks polished and distinguished looking, getting 43 likes. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he gets into politics in his lifetime, or what the future is for him, or what really aspires. There's a good juxtaposition of the two differences it can make, in terms of having a good father versus having an evil or bad father, whatever you want to vernacular it. Benny Johnson says, notice anything, here's a perfect example of the difference a good father can make in a child's life. Make fatherhood great again. You have a picture of Hunter Biden, of course, he doesn't suit up. He's actually wearing nothing in a scarf. An F- for marketing, and probably from one of his many videos doing illegal activities, including prostitution and drugs. Then is juxtapositioned with a picture of Barron Trump in his graduation outfit, of course, suited up with a tie, getting 688 likes. This is one of the very first times we actually seen him more in a public facing, and for better or worse, the family is a part of your political. I mean, here's a political. Oh, finally, we do have a contrarian statement. I found one. Enrich12 says Barron Trump is a crab apple that didn't fall far from the tree. The poor kid never had a chance. And I don't know who. I mean, they put text on the picture of Trump saying only God can judge me, and God says you're an a-hole. Mentally vacuous, but they did get 37 likes. So time shall tell to see how active Barron is involved in regards to the campaign, or he just kind of stays focusing more on his professional career and maybe going to college. But yeah, the crowd loved it, and yeah, we'll see if Melania has more of a impact, or she is more involved in the campaign trail lately. And again, that could play an important role in terms of, getting those increased voters. And again, it's a big part of the presidential campaign is, showing you're a family man and the people you surround yourself with. But let me know in the comments what kind of impact you think Barron will have on the campaign, if anything. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have the Ford Mustang recalled for unintentional steering, which apparently is not just people spitting out and hitting into people after a car show. Apparently, there's actually a manufacturer defect. Granted, it's not for all of them, so they can't all use that excuse. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Cars.com, which I think as a child I accounted for 50% of their web traffic. I lost track of how many hours I spent there dreaming of what cars I want to buy, and then seeing the price tag and going, oh, dang, yeah, not so much. But nevertheless, this is specifically by Courtney Vosier, who's a writer over there, saying, quote, 30,000 plus Ford Mustangs are being recalled for unintentional steering issue, which is quite sad for America's final pony car. Now they say, quote, Ford is recalling more than 30,700 examples of the Mustang car over an issue causing the steering wheel to unintentionally turn. Affected vehicle years include the model year 2022 to 2023. In these cars, a secondary steering torque sensor may have been calibrated incorrectly, thus causing the steering wheel to turn side to side without any warning when the driver tries to steer. Unintentional steering, it's funny they have to clarify this. It almost sounds like a lawyer. Unintentional steering may cause the vehicle to lose control, increasing the risk of a crash. Really? Great additional information. Now, granted, they say, quote, as a fix, dealers will update the steering control module software for free. Ford owners will notify owners August 5th, or just tune into the show, since it seems like more than half the business blunders are automotive related. Not surprised, one of the most complex things people will buy. They say, quote, Ford can be reached at 866-436-7332. Again, Ford is at 866-436-7332. They say that the recall number is 24S44. Again, it's 24S44. And you can actually call and receive if a particular VIN is affected by this, or a particular car is affected by this. And again, not great news. It's one of the more popular, profitable vehicles that Ford makes. And the car is already a joke in terms of, not all of them, but there's a high propensity of Mustangs just, burning out, losing control, and hitting a bunch of people in the crowd when they're exiting car shows. It's kind of like, I can't but wonder how many people go to car shows just to see the Mustang hit people, kind of like people going to NASCAR just to see them, crash and burn into flames. But in all seriousness, it is good that they got to this issue and they're recalling it before there's been any reported accidents and no one's lost their life, thankfully. So they're getting ahead of the issue, but nevertheless, having, a recall on one of the most popular vehicles that you make, that certainly has to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, giving me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.